What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916 getting down with Fresh Out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Share the channel. I'm here with the homegirl Megan, man. You guys have been asking for more females on the channel, so we're bringing them to you. But before we get into this interview, go to freshoutseries.com and pick up a bar of soap and wash your ass, or pick up a t-shirt, because we know you guys don't like to be funky. Megan, as far as relationships and women interacting with women in there, I know I've always heard, like, you know, it's a lot more going down with girlfriends and stuff in there, where in a men's prison you're not going to really have that. I mean, if there's a guy doing that, you're pretty much on your own, you're on an outsider. But in women, it's considered okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did that interaction come about in your situation? How did you see that in prison when you were in there?
Well, girls aren't gay fuck around, pretty much. I don't know if it's like boredom or what, but everybody gets down, pretty much. I mean, there's a few that are like, no, I don't swing that way, but.
What about women that were married?
Married women fuck around in there too. It don't matter, for real. But like, some of them take it serious and some of them don't. Some of them promise they're going to leave their husbands when they get out. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then but the girl always gets dusted in the end.
Is it like when they get out, you don't ever hear about them like writing or keeping in touch, or is it very rare that they?
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's hella rare.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if somebody got together in there and they were hanging out and like their girlfriends for like a year or two, you know, even upon release, and that other girlfriend usually is still in there, it's not very often that you'll see them actually get to be together on the streets.
No, not often at all. It's not even often that like you end up being friends. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even keep contact with your friends half the time.
So would you say that most of the relationships in there are strictly prison relationships?
Yes. Yes.
Why you think that is? Why you think that it's not like a continued friendship? And I mean, because I know like quite a few of the guys I was friends with, I still keep in touch with now, but these were guys that I felt like we had a similar interest.
There might be a little bit of that, like as far as friends or whatever, but like for the most part, it's just women are not loyal, you know? They're just not.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's rough. And girls in there, like, they'll jump from one girl to the next girl to the next girl.
Why you think that is? When you think like typically a relationship on the street, you see a guy and he's like, oh, he's not loyal. He's just always trying to come up, or, you know.
Girls do that shit too.
Yeah?
Yes. Like, girls will straight scout out. Oh, she looks like she has money when you hit the yard, for real.
Oh, wow.
and when girls aren't gay, they fall for it. You know what I mean? If a girl's not gay and they don't know how other women run game, like, they get.
So would you say like there's like, it's the same thing where you have a guy who's a player out here, you have women in there who know how to specialize in turning out other straight women?
Yes. Yes. Women who don't care if you're gay or not. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of women in there that actually have men coming in there to still see them, and they're, you know, the men are actually holding them down, or is that a rare thing?
There's a lot of women who have men hold them down while they're fucking around inside, but they're running game on the men for the money. There's a lot of that shit. And then, right, another girl that got close to that girl will steal her dude, start writing him. He'll get on her visitation list, start putting money on her books. It's like, I'm telling you, there's no loyalty.
Now, in that situation, because I know where guys do the same thing. They get them they call it like a prison pen pal,
mm-hmm.
and they get them a prison 10 to get out with, to kind of get on their feet. Do a lot of the women look to game guys the same way to get on their feet, or do they generally care about the guys they're riding, or they know that these guys are just stepping stones?
They don't care at all. If they care, it's because they haven't had interaction with a man in so long that they just think they're head over heels. But for the majority, it's like, he's dumb. He continues to put money on my books, and I'm going to keep running this. unless they get tired of them, they pass them to somebody else. I mean, I've seen that shit happen too.
I seen that happen in prison too. Like, hey man, I'm about to get out. You can start writing her now. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. Have you heard of any Hollywood endings of like women getting out and actually, oh, this guy right here, and they run off into the sunset, or a lot of these women just go off and they either hook up with another guy when they get out, or it's something to pass the time with.
Truthfully, the only ending like that I know is mine.
And how your ending?
So I met my wife in prison,
Oh wow.
and like truthfully, we were not on the same yard or we weren't together on the same yard for but a couple months before she left, and we were married, and she waited like 2 years.
Now, how do you build that strong of a bond in such a short amount of time?
I don't know. I don't know. But it happened. Yeah. And we lived together and we're married, and then I felt bad for like other people who were like, oh man, my girl just got out. She told me she was gonna be there with me, and she went right back to her husband and stopped writing me.
Wow. Now, have you heard of them going back to her husband and then the other girl going and living happily ever after, like what is that show to do with the sister wives or anything crazy like that?
Oh my God.
That dude, I'm like, he's got like 6 wives or something like that. Have you heard anything crazy like that? Or usually it's just the woman goes back and then kind of runs back into her family life.
Yeah, girls are more selfish than that, you know? Like you just don't hear about girls trying to help other girls come up another level because they just don't care.
Wow. I guess it's a big misperception because like, you think of relationships and people think of like, oh, guys cheating and blah, blah, blah. But from what you're telling me, a woman, because of her ability to be deceiving in a sense where the innocence plays like, oh, I wouldn't do that. It's easier for them to maneuver in that world than it is for a guy to think, because the guy's using his money and this and that, and he's trying to use all this material stuff, but a woman can use her emotions and she can play it a lot easier.
Yes. And when you find pen pals, like whatever, the older they are or the more sheltered their life has been, like the easier it is for a woman to capitalize on that shit, and they will.
Did you ever have any pen pals before you met your wife?
No.
So when you were in there, were you at any time thinking like, oh, I want to, find a girlfriend or maybe find me a husband when I get out, or do I have a family? Were there any of those thoughts before you met your wife?
I mean, not really. And I did not expect to marry, my wife either. I didn't expect to leave prison like that. I guess I was just more focused on not going back to where I came from. So I wasn't really thinking about like all of that other shit. I just didn't want to fail again.
Now, after you guys got married, was she able to come back and visit you? Or do they have like conjugal visits in female state prison like they do in the men's, or?
So they would not let her visit me or be on my phone list or anything because she hadn't been out 2 years.
Oh.
So, and then conjugal visits used to happen, but I think what happened is the guy took his mom to the hotel by Florence, like just to have a family visit, not conjugal. But he ended up killing his mom because they used to take him to they used to let him go to a hotel for the weekend, and he killed his mom for some grudge.
His mom was in there doing time, and he visited with her and killed her?
No, he was in there doing time. His mom came to visit him for the weekend, and he killed her at the hotel that they were allowed to stay at. So I think that's what ended conjugal visits here. But
wow,
yeah, that ended. There's none of that shit. There's no phone calls. You're not even allowed to write until they've been out for 2 years. They get approved. So
unless you're
married
beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, if you're married beforehand, you can't be on the same yard. So.
And once the other inmates inside there found out you were married, did you keep it low key, or did anybody know like you guys were married, like, oh my God, blah blah blah, or did
we didn't get married till after I got out?
Okay.
We full on met there. People knew that we were together.
Yeah.
People knew that we were going to be together, but.
Now, when she left, though, did other women try to get at you, like to see if they can, one up or something? Like just like saying, oh, I think I can, try to game you, or did you have to deal with any of that bullshit?
I didn't, but I kind of kept it small Like, and I didn't fuck with people because as soon as you let somebody in, they want to ask you for shit. They
That's
wanna,
right.
You know what I mean? So, and I was kind of a bitch. So I don't think that, too many people like tried to fuck with me like that.
Yeah, because once you open that door, and then the worst thing you could do is like tell your business. I know even in men's prison, you don't want to be like, oh, this is my girl on the street, because somebody would be like, is that right? And then they'll try to find that address. Next time you get mail call and they see the address, and then next thing you know, somebody be writing your girl on the street.
And I was super worried. I'm like, fuck, I don't want people to know that I'm still talking to her anyway, because like if they go in and they, are like, she's writing this girl and this girl's on paper, like I'm gonna get a ticket. It's gonna be it.
So you didn't want to really have administration be sweating you for writing somebody who just here thinking, maybe they're up to something or something like that, or yeah. Wow. How hard was it for you guys prior to you getting out? Like you said, you were able to maintain it. Like, was it just like, oh man, you couldn't wait, or was it like you had this certain amount of trust, or how did that really play out? Because I know I get like women sometimes ask me, Big Herc, I'm writing this guy, he's been in there, and he said he wants to be with me when I get out, blah, blah, blah. And, should I believe him? Because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to get in the middle of this dude's, whatever he's got going on. Because if he's been telling you one thing, I don't want him to come out and be like, Big Herc said that you're a player and you got other girls and that's why you don't want me, your visiting list and this and that. So, I mean, how was it for you?
I think that there was a lot of, difficulty in trusting both ways. It was hard. It was a long 2 years. And, thinking like, you don't know what somebody's doing when you're in and they're out, and they could lie to you and you never know.
And the thing too is like, I know in men's prison, guys try to do time on the phone. I'm going to call her every day at 6 o'clock. If she don't pick up, that damn bitch, I know she's out there. And like, dude, you can't do your time like that. Like, give me the phone, 6 o'clock, you better pick up. It's like, you got to let a person kind of live their life. And then when you get out, then you can,
And it's hard not to be like that. But she never not picked up the phone. She picked up every time. Every time.
And now that you guys are out together, is it everything that you imagined?
And more, yeah.
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 That's cool. Because like I said, you don't have a lot of those endings, and like, especially in men's prisons. I've seen dudes get out and it's like, oh yeah, I rode with this guy for this year. And then you hear stories, that motherfucker, he go out every night. But I'm like, I don't want to be in the middle of it. You know what I mean? I know both of you guys. I don't want to be in the middle of your shit. You're still with them. So what do you want me to say?
Yep.
So.
And if you put up with it, you let that shit happen, that's on you.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. You got to kind of accept that. Well, that's dope. I mean, 'cause you don't see a lot of prison romances like that. And then on top of it, you guys are still together. You're building a future together. And, you guys have each other back. I mean, it's bad enough you see, the big thing now. And I've seen a lot of guys, are dating these girls, and then they find out she's an OnlyFans girl, and they're crushed. Like, oh man, why did you, And I'm like, dude, she's at the gym every day. What do you think she does for money? She's making money somehow to hang out with you every day, and then she disappears and says she got to go visit her cousin in St. Louis. But she went on a date, so I know it's rough. I mean, have you guys had a pretty easy time, as far as being out on the streets together, getting along, and everything's kind of like morphed into what it is now? Or
I think initially it was an adjustment because like, we had never known each other in the real world. So like we weren't used to how we slept or what we did all day or what we woke up, how we set our shit out, whatever, organization down to shit like that. Like, you got to get adjusted. But after, a couple months, it's like everything fell into place, and I'm surprised that everything wound up.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of people it's different when you're just like, that's why people are like, oh, I have a girlfriend, she lives in New York, and you're out here. It's like, do you see her once a month and you think you're in love, but then live together. You put your toothbrush over here. You don't put your dishes away. You fold your shirts like this. You don't fold them like this. You do this. You do all these little things.
And I feel bad for her because I'm like super unorganized, and she's like super organized. So that was probably a difficult adjustment for her. But you Got to meet somebody 50-50 and just get acclimated together.
Wow. Well, that's dope. Hey, there you have it. Big Herc 916 and Megan getting down on Fresh Out. You tired of smelling like stanky butt, funky armpits? Wash your ass. Go to freshoutseries.com and pick you up a bar of soap.